Good morning, my friends, and happy Sunday morning. We're back with episode 6 of Riven. We missed a week last week because I was a bit under the weather. This week, though, we are back, and we have got loads of open threads to be exploring. Loads of open threads. If you remember last time out, we crawled through a pipe, got into Gehn's summer house, read his journal, found a load of codes, then found a tiny train to take us over to a fourth island, found a secret platform which you can get to by turning the train around and then getting out of the train again. So we've got to go back up. We've got to go back up the lift and check out the first platform. We've also now got another train, which presumably will take us either to a fifth island or will loop us back around to somewhere we've been. No major hints from the comment section over the last 2 weeks, except for someone asked whether I had made a transcription error on something that I'd written down, whether I'd written down something down correctly. So we're going to double check that. And someone said that there's a little Easter egg if you go and call that fish that we saw towards the end of last session a couple more times. So we're going to go check that out. So, ominous chair number 4. Phil C2020 in the chat. Good morning. It would be spoilers for me just saying hi. Need to catch up on the prior episodes first. Always a pleasure to see you in the chat, Phil. Good to see you on the stream. Of course, you know, we don't necessarily want to spoil the other episodes that you've not seen yet. So happy to catch up with you in, a couple weeks' time. Now, let me recall, what did I need to do here? Yeah, you have a great day too, Phil. Have a great weekend. I hope you're staying safe wherever you are. Okay. So let me see. So... So this is the red one. So this is the third time we've hit the red one. It's great to hear that your family's safe, Phil. Hang on. So that's orange. Oh, I think I see what this commenter meant. Right. Because yes, this symbol and this symbol are 90 degrees rotated. This symbol and this symbol are 90 degrees rotated. In my notes, I put a vertical line as being orange, whereas actually it's the horizontal line that's orange. So yeah, maybe rather than it going red, orange, yellow, green, blue, blank, it's actually the opposite way around. So it's red, orange, yellow, green. Oh, that's the red one again. That's an unhappy fish. That's an unhappy fish, isn't it? Okay. So yeah, so that's red. Yeah, okay. So I think I've done this wrong. Oh, excuse me 1 second. Yeah, that was a sneeze. Right. So yeah, I think I've done that the wrong way round then, have I? Which I suppose kind of makes sense. So actually that one's orange. So then, looking at the... So the vertical line is then the one that's missing. The vertical eye is actually blue. Yeah, fine. So that's yellow, green, blue, and that one's blank. Okay, looks like I just did a little disconnect there. So I don't know how that's going to affect the VOD. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the stream momentarily and then restart it, and hopefully that will be all. Okay, so hopefully we are re-live. Hopefully we're re-live right there. Looks like that fish ain't coming back, you know. I think that might be it for the fish, do you think? Oh, now it's going to rotate all the way around. Nah, that fish is gone. Alright, cool. Let's get rid of that. Oh, hang on. Yeah, we already looked at this. We already looked at this. Nope, up. I think it's this button to end the chair session. Okay. So, next thing we want to do is we are going to want to, I think, go back to the previous platform. Before we go off to a new island, I want to finish everything on this island, right? So let's press that button to get us back upstairs. So we've also got, you know, in the notebook, we have a code for the domes. We've got a clue on where we might find the last, what would you call it? Like, animal clue, I suppose? Okay, so back into the train. We'll rotate this train around. Great. So, New area, not been this way yet. So we've got our looking eyes looking around. Oh, what is this? Lots of bones and stuff. Man, when this comes out in full 3D, it's gonna look sick, isn't it? I've been avoiding looking at any spoilers, right? Because obviously. But I know that they've released some promotional images. Got something over there. It's a long walk to whatever this is. What is that, do you reckon? Oh, there's a button here. My connection seems a little bit choppy today, actually, doesn't it? I tell you what, as a little bit of a backup plan, I'm also going to start a local recording of this, because I don't want to lose this for the YouTube. So, we'll start a local recording at the same time. So, what have we got here? Well, doesn't that look interesting? Doesn't that look interesting? Because once again, similarly to the marbles puzzle, you've got 5x5 squares on a larger 5x5 grid. This looks very similar to the layout of the marble puzzle. There is more than... Well, in fact, do these pieces fit together? They might. They might fit together. Like, not perfectly, obviously, but, you know. Oh, okay. What? Right, okay. So there's some kind of heating element underneath that's causing the water to come up as a bubble, is it? Okay, and that's going to make this one come up. Fine. It kind of looks like there's something in that bubble, maybe. Dunno. Let's go down and have a... Oh! I was going to say, let's go down and have a quick look, but I didn't even see that there's something through this crack here. There's a whole lot of other stuff to explore. Should we go in the dome first? What? Well, that's the piece that we've just pushed up, right? The fact that this is on a yet another 5x5 grid is one of those. Okay, right. Oh. Okay. No, this isn't... This Zoetrope isn't actually looking at the dome. Are we needing to adjust that somehow? Okay. So that's the one we need to target. The other ones we kind of stopped a little bit with luck, to be honest. Are we supposed to be able to drain this, do you think? Is this the reservoir of water, do you reckon? So if we come back out here, right? Well, no. First of all, I wanted to see if that looks like anything from closer, right? Have a look at the water first. Then we're going to come back up, change which one is bubbled, see if that makes any difference to the water level in that reservoir over there, because that might be where the water is coming from. See, it sort of looks like a snake, doesn't it? Like, if I were to, It does sort of look like a thing. I mean, we're going to experiment, right? We're going to experiment. So let's, I don't know, should we do the big one? This is the one that's most likely to affect the water level if from behind us is where the water is coming from. Incidentally, thank you very much for everyone watching this on YouTube in the future. Riven is now my most popular video series already, and I don't even know if we're even halfway through the game yet. So thank you to everyone who's been watching this on the YouTube. You guys are great, and I love reading all of your comments every week. Yeah, that hasn't moved. The alignment of this hasn't moved. We can see it going by. Feels like it's going to be a question of timing, is it? Oh, did that get it? There we go. Just spam the button for the win. I'm not sure. Is there a strategy for those? Is there an intended strat? I don't know. Okay, can we see anything inside this bubble? So this bubble, incidentally, doesn't appear to have... So this has got like a hole in the middle of it. Dunno. Does it look like anything to you guys? If there is, I'm not sure I see it. Yeah, dunno. Maybe that's not a thing. Maybe that's not a thing. But with a different one activated... Well, hang on a minute, hang on a minute. Why have we got now... What? What even is this trying to say? I thought it was going to be like a map of the island or something, but that does not look like what this is. It's very, very reminiscent, obviously, of the first Myst game, where you have the little pool in the bunker that does, what is it? Topographic extrusion test, I think it was called, or something. Doesn't look like the same technology, to be fair, but... Okay. So that is a big old mystery. That's a big old mystery. We're going to come back to that later. Dome, which we have the code for, or the other tiny train to get us to what is potentially the fifth island. I mean, Dome is right here, right? So let's test. Let's use it as a test to see if we've got the... Oh, there's a book. Oh, it's a linking book. Is it a linking book? The other Dome didn't have a book inside a little panel like this, did it? Maybe it does. I mean, from the journal, it's kind of implied that the Dome's going to take you elsewhere. All right. Let's go. Let's go. So, 1, 2, 10, 11, 16 is the code. So there's 10, there's 15, there's 16. Yeah, you wouldn't guess that apropos of nothing, would you? Because you'd kind of assume that each thing needed to be... You'd assume it was a 5-digit code from 0 to 5, I think. Well, that's definitely done something, hasn't it? Oh shoot, we're in the Dome. So this is going to take us to the 98th, maybe? So that button will take us out, almost certainly. Oh, it's got a title. It's got a title. What number is that? I'm pretty sure that is the 98th. What if you propose a... No. Yes. Yes, that's the 98th. I mean, we can't get stuck, right? We can't get... Wait, it's not active. Huh? Oh, yeah. In the journal, it says that we need the fire marbles to be the power source. Is that right? Oh, okay. So we might not be able to use these just yet. Okay. Let's go back to the tiny train. Go to the 5th island. But yeah, intriguing puzzle, that one. We're going to need to... we'll want to do some time experimenting, I guess, with turning on and off all 5 of those different water extrusions. This spot here that I'm standing on right now is certainly interesting. Like, what am I even standing over there? But that's a weird little plate as well, isn't it? This one. That kind of looks like it goes somewhere as well, doesn't it? But I don't see any buttons, to be fair. But do you see that? It kind of doesn't seem to fit in with the floor, but maybe now I'm just sort of seeing clues everywhere. So let's get this turned round, and we're going to take the other tiny train. But yeah, that topological map, well, we don't even know if it is a map, to be fair, but it's... yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Like, maybe it's a jigsaw puzzle kind of thing, where you bring the bubbles up one at a time, and then you're rotating the pieces round so that that topographical extrusion, so that the edges are going to match the edges of the other stuff. That's sort of my best idea at the moment, because those 5 pieces... I mean, I'm assuming you could rearrange those to fit together in a different way. Well, let's explore a little bit first, right? Because we have plenty more exploration to do. Because you never know, we might just come up with a clue from elsewhere. So, get your tiny train emotes in the chat, because we've got a new tiny train to ride. New island? Or do you think this is going to take us back to somewhere we've been before? If it takes us somewhere to where we've been before, suddenly our possibility space actually collapses quite a lot. Because, yeah, because the domes maybe don't actually do as much as we thought they do. But I think this is going to take us somewhere new still. I'm assuming this is going to be a 5th island. And I'm going to make the bold assumption, given how prevalent the theme of 5 has been in this game, I'm going to make the bold assumption that there are in fact 5 islands. Okay. We've got Palm Trees 44 in the chat. Happy Sunday to you. Okay. So, quick test whilst we're here, just because I'm super paranoid now about there being a second platform to this thing. Is there a reason there's a second platform to this thing? No, you can't actually get off. One could reasonably ask the question, why have a second platform at all then? Okay. Well, this looks very much like the lift that's inside the frog, doesn't it? It's the lift that's inside the frog. Oh my word, was that always available? Could I have pulled that down to have gone that way as an alternate path all this time? Like, it's very, very sneaky, isn't it? Because it gives you an affordance, right? In UX, we'd call this an affordance to say, no, this pulls upwards, right? I don't think I ever tried pulling it downwards. Oh, I feel like such a dummy. Of course, you got to pull it the other way as well, right? Okay. So that means we've got 4 islands then. Yeah? Yeah, 4. Now I got to have a think about where that leaves us in terms of our... Oh, do you know what? I've literally just seen from my notes. This is that other puzzle, which we totally didn't take a screenshot of, incidentally. But yeah, yeah, this is that other puzzle. Okay, looking through my notes quick then. So we've got, yeah, that's getting pretty old back there. Right. Ah, shoot. So that topographical extrusion, that is related to the marbles puzzle, yeah, because at the top of the dome you got this thing in the middle of that dome, and that is what that other thing is, and that's going to be related to how we power everything. In terms of what we've got a fly, a frog. The whale noise, I think, is the wark, right? So then there's a 5th animal that we still haven't been able to identify, and we don't have the clue for. If we got the clue, we could make a guess about what the animal is likely to sound like, but that's not going to be a guarantee, right? Because I thought this one, the one that says hey, I assumed it was some kind of goat. So yeah, maybe that puzzle we've come across is literally the puzzle that we are gonna need to battle through next. We're gonna have a look at the other dome up here, because that might not have a linking book to the 98th in it. The way the journal's written kind of implies that every one of those domes has a linking book in them. Yeah, oh, now that I know it, I can see it. Yeah, we've got a book right there. Yeah, okay. I like how the lights slowly come up, right? Gehn has a definite flair for the theatrical, but for the benefit of whom, right, is the question, because there's no one else here. You're inside a little dome that no one else can see. We've got Spiper, first time in the chat. Good day to you as well. Hope you're having a great start to your Sunday. Okay, so this was indeed another linking book that has no power. Okay. We're going to go back to Jigsaw Puzzle Island then. Let me know in the chat what that new island is called. Because what is it? We've got Crater Island. That's the big crater that's got Gehn's summer house on it. We've got Villager Village Island. And we've got, well, you've got the first island. Let's call that first island. Yeah, I have a feeling that our best option is going to be to have a look at that topographical extrusion. So, okay, what am I thinking at the moment? I'm thinking we've got 5 jigsaw puzzle pieces. We've got 6 fire marbles, right? We've got 5 jigsaw puzzle pieces. It's established in the journal that Gehn doesn't understand how the colour scheme works, right? That you've got 6 colours, but it should be like a rule of 5 kind of thing. So one of the marbles we're not going to use, and it's perhaps slightly unclear which one that is, right? So I think we're going to use 5 of the 6 marbles. I think there's going to be 1 marble for each of the jigsaw puzzle pieces, and on the topographical extrusion thing you have to press one square in each of them, and that changes the extrusion, and the square that's lit is going to correspond to where a marble is. In terms of then how the you're one of the people who monitor Twitch for when someone plays Myst. Excellent, excellent. Well, this is great. Oh, welcome, welcome. Do you know what? I mean, Myst, Riven, Outer Wilds, Tunic, these are all games that you can only play for the first time once, right? And yeah, totally agree with you, right? The wild speculations that people make is part of the fun, right? It's part of the fun. So, okay, so I think we're going to use 5 of the 6 marbles. We have to press buttons on the little extrusion device within each shape. So I think within each shape is going to correspond where one of the marbles goes. What is the order of the marbles? Slightly unclear, right? I presume there needs to be some way that these shapes are going to be in an order. A way we could order it would be literally from left to right going clockwise, but we could also have a look. We could go back to this dome and actually have a look and see if there is some indication as to whether the pipes that are feeding in have an order to them. The fact that these shapes correspond to individual pipes coming into the large dome suggest that they are physical places that we could potentially go and try and visit. We know that one of them, for example, does come from Crater Island. And yeah, that's sort of where I am with that puzzle currently. We will see. We will see. Right, so up here. So, Spiper, when did you sort of discover for yourself the Myst series? Have you been a long-time fan since the 90s? Is it something you've come to more recently? Are there any other kind of games in this genre that you'd recommend which aren't Myst games necessarily, or aren't Cyan World specifically? Because always after great recommendations. Okay. That is an amazing thing to be able to have shared with your late grandmother. Wow, that's great. That's, yeah, do you know what, that's really brilliant. It makes me remember some of the stuff that I did with my grandfather growing up. You know, he was the one that taught me how to play chess, for example. Yeah. Long time ago nowadays, of course. What is this giant thing? Oh, this is like some kind of capacitor rod, I guess. That's like sending the signal or something. Okay. So I'm just kind of looking and sort of evaluating the shapes here. Yeah. Let's take a little print screen of this just so I can try and vocalize what I'm trying to visualize at the moment, right? This, so there's going to be an aspect of rotation to this, right? This piece here and this piece here are strongly coupled together, right? Because there are no other pieces that just have a single square cut out of them. However, right, that pair of pieces as a block, yeah, can transpose with this pair of pieces as a block because the square piece has rotational symmetry. So, for example, if I were to draw this out as blue here, you could have something along the lines of here, 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 and if you were to rotate this piece round, the small square would be there. And then if you were to rotate this round, you'd end up with the L-shaped piece here, and then this other block like that. So that's an alternative solution to how these 5 pieces could fit together. Now, on the face of it, if I take that and take another copy of it, on a cursory glance, I don't see another way that those could fit together, because you're going to get a little bit stuck by the fact that this is a 2 in terms of length, but this is a 3 in terms of length, right? So you're going to be a little bit stuck. So anything which is like really exotic, like putting that there, putting the 2x2 here, and then putting the 1 here. No, that could totally work actually. Wait, sorry. Let me draw that up. That could totally work. You could have you could have this piece here. You could move the square into there, have the 1x1 here. No, that wouldn't actually work, right? Because you'd end up with then that piece stuck like that, and then you've got a void here, and this large piece is 3 along this axis, right? So that just doesn't work. Okay, so on a cursory inspection, I only really see 2 solutions to that. That thing up there certainly be hard to recognise. I never figured it out back in the day. Ah, fair enough. Okay. The reason I've chosen to raise this L-shaped piece is because as we rotate it round in this device, we will see pretty clearly that, yeah, it rotates around the edges, right, which would be consistent with us being able to get this right, because you could leave this one where it is, you rotate these 2 as a pair twice, and you rotate these 2 as a pair twice. So that is certainly a possibility. The thing is, I'm just really unsure how to interpret what this is telling me. Yeah, just really unsure. You never paid enough thought to try and look from every angle. Fair. Yeah, that's certainly something to consider. The one that has the fewest degrees of freedom is obviously the one. But when this rotates, yeah, you're not going to be rotating it around. It's just going to rotate into the other corners, isn't it? It's not going to rotate to here, which is where we're sort of thinking for the other solution. It looks a lot like the island, doesn't it? Maybe we need to try and tie them up to which island is which. Right. So we've got Crater Island over there. Now Crater Island is kind of, it's behind the dome, isn't it? So Crater Island would be like, it's either 4 or 5. I think we're going to need to identify which island's which. Possibly. So is that the tiny one island? In which case, where are the pipes from like the large places even coming from? Because there aren't any islands over that side, right? Because that's the island with the village on it. Yeah, because this is the track that takes us back to the frog. That's the first island. That's Crater Island. This is... Do you know what? That actually looks like one of the things we had, doesn't it? That there sort of looks like one of the things we had for this thing. So would number 4... It's either going to be the 4 or the 5 is going to be Crater Island. So let's have a little look. So I think this must be part, at least part, of what people refer to as the marbles puzzle. And even though this is a blind playthrough, I've heard of the marbles puzzle. I've heard it as being one of the hardest puzzles. Well, certainly the hardest puzzle in this game. I've heard some people refer to it as like one of the hardest puzzles they've ever played. Wow. Okay. Featureless, I would call that. But yeah, okay, it's a crater. Yeah, it's literally a donut, right? So if you were to then go for that one, which is the pipe directly behind the main dome, according to this drawing here. Do you know what I've also just realised, right? Comparing this one here, where you've got one dirt, to here, it's actually 4 that's directly behind the main dome, right? They're offset. These 2 diagrams are offset from each other for some reason. So that's an important thing to note. So this is actually not the one that's directly behind the dome. 4, the one we just looked at, is the one that's directly behind the dome. Oh, that really does look like a topographical map, doesn't it? That looks like the main dome. Right, okay, so these are larger pictures that we are taking sections of. Not sure what that is. It kind of looks like the dome on the first island, doesn't it? Yeah, you can't actually interact with this in any way. I think I'm starting to see it. I think I'm starting to see it. Is that where the marble's supposed to go? Hard to say, but let's take a pic of this one. So I don't think the rotation is actually supposed to be doing anything for you except helping you see the topography. But the overall rotation of it is going to be really important. But having said that, there are only going to be 8 possible ways that it could rotate or transpose. So if we solve the puzzle for the individual pieces, we can then work through potentially the 8 rotational and transpositional composition options if we wanted to, if it was unclear to us what we're supposed to be getting. Yeah, look, there's a dome. There's a dome here, there's a dome on there, there's a dome on here. We're putting the marbles on the domes. I think that's what we're looking for in these maps. Okay. So let's go for the others as well then. So the 4, the 2x2, that just kind of looked a bit like a featureless donut to me. But if we can work out roughly where the marbles need to go, We still need to work out which colours need to be put where. Unless you assume that all the marbles are the same, which they're clearly not, because why would they have different colours? Right? So the order of the marbles is also going to be important. Okay. We're making progress. So we've got an inverted dome in this one right here. I don't see anything on that one. Well, very hard to see. I don't see very much of anything on these scans. The best we've got is we've got an indentation in here. We're also looking for something that's pretty unambiguously going to fit inside a square, which that one does, to be fair. Yeah, I don't see much of anything else here. I can't imagine how slowly this puzzle would have run when you were playing this in the 90s. Like, respect to everyone who solved this back in 1997, because I imagine this would have been really, really laborious. But then again, maybe I'm just not giving 1997 processing power enough credit, right? Because, I mean, 1997, you're not exactly talking, well, you know, like Sonic the Hedgehog, right? You're talking like Metal Gear Solid is kind of closer. Which is really interesting, you know, because if you think about Super Mario Brothers came to North America in 1986, Sonic the Hedgehog released in 1991, right? Half-Life released in 1997, I think, right? And Half-Life 2 was what, 2004? The gap between something that came out in the early 90s compared to the late 90s, I don't think we've ever seen such a jump in any decade before or since the 90s. The 90s were like... Ah, that does look like that thing, doesn't it? Sitting outside this island here. And that's the walkway that we walked along, isn't it? And this is where we are. And this is going to be where the dome is, because the fire marbles literally are powering the domes. It's a map telling the power generator where to send the power to. We're looking to send... There are 5 domes. We're looking to put 5 fire marbles on the coordinates of the 5 domes. Okay, cool. Got it. So question then, where is the dome on what I presume is Crater Island? And this island then, this one island, it's got no trains that go to or from it, presumably we've got to go to the 98th, and we're going to come out of the 98th on this island. Okay, I'm calling it now. That island is where Catherine's being held. That's like Alcatraz prison island, right? No trains in or out of it. You got to use linking books to get in and out of it. Okay, I'm locking that in as a ridiculously specific prediction. Okay. Let's also make a note, right, that this is... What are we calling this island? What are we calling this island? Puzzle Island? That's Crater Island, almost certainly. This is the one that had the big dome on it, so this is the first island. And this one is, we'll call it Alcatraz Island. Okay. In 1997, you'd be stuck for weeks. I feel your pain, man. I feel your pain. Do you know what, though? Like, certainly as playing these games has given me a real interesting opportunity to re-experience some of that kind of nostalgia vibe from my own childhood, which is strange because it's also kind of in a vicarious way, because I'm playing this game particularly for the first time, right? So I don't have any particular nostalgia associated with this game, but I certainly do have a nostalgia to the vibe of games like this. And certainly whilst I was ill last week, I've been on like a proper retro vibe, right? I broke out my old GameCube. Oh, actually no, I've actually put the games away now. But I broke out my old GameCube and I was playing a little bit of Legend of Zelda on that, and oh man, just having a great time. There is the dome. I'm actually thinking about doing some more just explicitly retro games rather than puzzle games necessarily, because whilst I was ill and I was sort of tinkering around with some of my old GameCube games, I do miss some of those games, and there's a couple of like really, really big ones that I've never actually got round to beating. Like I've never beaten Wind Waker, right? Which is a bit of a miss, because Wind Waker is like one of the best Zelda games ever. Yeah, so I don't know, just something I'm mulling over anyway. So pretty sure this one is Village Island. Pretty sure this one is Village Island, but let's have a little look around, because yeah, this is going to be really hard to scan across because it's so tall. What is that? Nostalgia, for one term I've heard used affectionately for it, is naive games. Interesting, I've never heard the term naive games before. Like, I certainly do think there is something to be said for older games like, you know, Sonic the Hedgehog, Mario 64, you know, those old school games which are very kind of pick up and play, and they're very uncomplicated, and it's not just the fact they're uncomplicated, but they're also just quite joyful experiences to play. Like, my daughter is like 1.5 years old, right? But if I hand her a literal Sega Genesis controller, right, it's got move and jump, and all of the buttons map to jump. So it's like, even though she's 18 months old, she can collect some rings in Sonic the Hedgehog, right? Like, it's a weird little cone here. So I think there is something to be said for super simple experiences which are just kind of joyful experiences. And I think that's also just part of the social zeitgeist as well, because the world today is in general a lot more grim than the world was in the 1990s, where, you know, there was a wave of hopefulness in the early 1990s. So I think it's, to an extent, it's probably just a bit of a reflection of the state of things, really. Okay. We've got dome locations now on all of the islands. Okay. Except, weirdly, for Crater Island, where we've got, like, a weird gap. Which is odd, right? And I'm thinking about that, because that can't be no marble, but it might be something to do with how the marbles map to the colours? But I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. Looking at these clues on the colours as well, it also kind of feels like there's one that's missing, right? Because in a way, it kind of feels like, given the rotational symmetry here, it kind of feels like you're missing one, which should look something like that. Does it not? Because you've got green in the middle, and it's like you have 3 this side, 3 this side. That would make 7 colours rather than 5. But rather than one being missing, maybe its red has been added erroneously. That's something to think about, for sure. Games where there wasn't a map your boss said you have to adhere to. Games that boldly go where no game has gone before. Do you know what, right? As a Star Trek fan, why have we never really had that quintessential, definitive Star Trek game, right? If you go on to the Star Wars subreddits, right, people will still talk about Knights of the Old Republic is like a 20-year-old game, right? People will talk about Knights of the Old Republic as if it's like a must-play game that everyone should experience, right? Mind you, having said that, people also talk very fondly nowadays of games like The Force Awakens. No, not The Force Awakens. What was it? Force Unleashed, which, like, at the time was reviewed very much as like a this is a pretty average PS3 action game. So nostalgia's certainly playing a very strong role in obviously how people are perceiving it. But why has Star Trek been so hard to translate into a game? I don't know, maybe it's because of the higher emphasis on philosophy and diplomacy rather than action, but who can say? Okay. So where even are we now with this puzzle? We have a reasonable level of confidence on which spots, right, to put these things. The rotation is going to be dictated by the actual, presumably by the actual physicality of the islands. Which, if I'm not mistaken, is actually how it's originally arranged, right? Like, I don't think you rearrange these in any way to get the actual island topology, right? Because this one here is Puzzle Island. And that's where the dome is. The dome is in this part of the L. Which means that along this path, this was the crater and this was the path that we walked along. Well, if we go out here, that points towards Crater Island. Which is this square one. So I have a feeling that actually the rotation is literally given to us. It's a pretty bold assumption, to be fair. So what we need then is we need the order of the islands, right? How the islands go with each colour. I'm willing to take a punt that red is the one that we're going to miss out. And that it's going to go orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. So something needs to be island number 1. And that's going to be orange, presumably. We have got this here, which is not here. Work on the central power server's got a bit of a bad start. Pace has picked up considerably. Looking forward to finally having a civilized mode of transportation. This is the diagram that's in the thing itself. Wait. We have seen these symbols. These symbols are on the outside of the domes. These symbols are on the outside of the domes. Do the domes themselves say which colour they are expecting to be? And you know what? We've got a dome right over here that we can look at. What are we looking at? This one was hard to get to stop, actually. I think I would rather experiment with the zeotrope. I don't know, it wasn't that hard to get to stop, to be fair. But it's not quite looking at the right spot. And you know what, actually? On Crater Island, the dome is underground, isn't it? Because we've seen it. It's at the bottom of the... no. Yeah. It's down the other path. The perception of today is that good games need to build up to something, some final level or final boss that ends the adventure. Whether that's true or not, I can see people having trouble adapting something that's normally episodic, like Star Trek, into a great game. Still be fun to talk about, though. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, episodic... I'm a big fan of episodic content, right? Like, I really... I understand that it's popular, and I understand that I'm in the minority on this one. I really hate television series that arc a single overarching mystery over the course of 10 hours of episodes, you know? As an example, Altered Carbon, which has now been cancelled, so kind of irrelevant. But Altered Carbon was one of those series that everyone was like, oh yeah, you know, you got to try and watch this because it's really great. There is an overarching mystery which ties every motivation of all of the main characters together along the lines of some guy has been killed, or his doppelganger has been killed, or they're all robots or something. But anyway, he's brought in this guy to try and investigate the murder, right? Who has murdered me? Fine, okay. Except for the fact that, 5 hours into this show, I'm a bit like, I think I've stopped caring about like who actually murdered this guy. Could be anyone, because he's not a very nice guy. Another example is Star Trek Picard Season 2 is one of those plots where in old episodic Star Trek you'd just write something that was like a mid-season two-parter and that would cover that plot. But instead, because you don't write episodic plots anymore, you need to have one plot that's going to last 10 hours. It's just not as tightly put together. And I think that's the problem. I think the problem is it's really hard to write a plot that lasts 10 hours without a lot of meandering and a lot of pointlessness in it. Almost all of the recent Disney Plus Star Wars shows have suffered from this, for sure. Like, the recent Ahsoka series, that could have literally been 2 hours long. That could have been a movie, you know? Instead it's eight episodes long for some reason, because like there are episodes in there where literally the plot does not move forward. The exception being Andor, which is exceptional, like really, really good. But Andor is not written as a single plot, which lasts 10 episodes. It's written as like three episode arcs, and then like a concluding episode at the end, which is... yeah, it just works a lot better, because you can sort of say, okay, right, we're going to do the Aldani heist, and that is an arc that lasts 3 episodes, and then the prison is an arc that lasts 3 episodes. But yeah, like old Star Trek. Now, you know, I've kind of got to acknowledge, right, that what Star Trek Discovery did was reinvigorate Star Trek for a new generation, you know? Like, as much as I love Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, whatever, Discovery is what made Star Trek popular again. And I can't really take that away from Discovery, even though I don't personally like it. As I say, I know it's not a popular opinion, because people do love those shows. I just prefer episodic content, to be fair. There are obviously exceptions, you know. Like Breaking Bad, for example, is like one of the best shows that's ever been made. But Breaking Bad doesn't have one central overarching mystery that's trying to hold the whole show together, right? Breaking Bad is a lot more episodic than people give it credit for. Before I start that up again, I want to have a look at the dome. Is there anything inside the dome that would... Popular opinions are often far less interesting than unpopular ones. Yeah, I mean, I'll give you that one, yeah. I mean, the thing... Well, the other thing about unpopular opinions, right, is they don't have to be that controversial. They just have to be mildly unpopular to be an unpopular opinion, right? It's like... Yeah, like I wouldn't say it's a terribly controversial opinion. It's just that, you know, most people wouldn't agree with me because the statistics are in, right? Like, most people enjoy 10-episode series that have continuity throughout them. I prefer content that I can dip in and out of, and if you miss an episode, it doesn't really matter too hard. Because then there's a lot less pressure on it all being good. You know, like in original Star Trek, oh man, some of those episodes were bad. But it gives you a lot more freedom. It gives the showrunners a lot more freedom to just be a bit wild and experiment with ideas. You know, like personally, I love the episode of Next Generation where Troy becomes a cake. You know, because I think that's brilliant. It's like, it's exactly that kind of avant-garde horror that I kind of like. It's but I know that that's considered a bad episode, you know, because it's like Data's having dreams that he doesn't understand, and, you know, whatever, and it turns out to be invisible aliens. Yes, every episode is its own barrel. That's a great way to express it. Okay, if I turn this back on, oh, we can see it. Look, it's an eye with a line. That is the symbol for red. We could literally see it as it was starting up. Yeah, that is definitely red. Okay, now let's stop it again, where we can. Okay. I'm assuming you've got to press it when it's on the right symbol. Oh, that was good. Okay, yeah, you've got to press it when it's on the right symbol. And you do get, it does flash up for you. Right, okay. So, is every dome different? We're getting there. We're getting there with this. Is every dome different? Well, if I point at the red and I say, this is Village Island. We're still going to have to try and work out, like Alcatraz Island, we're going to have to work that out by process of elimination, because we can't get there. Where's the next most easy dome? Where's the next most easy dome? So hang on. Crater Island, it's underground. Original Island, I'm not sure where it is actually. Yeah, I don't think about that one. Crater Island, it's underground, and we can't access the Zeotrope yet, or maybe we can, we just don't know how. Yeah, okay, maybe we're doing the one that's like kind of weirdly offset. Ah, that's annoying, you can't really see it clearly. But that's possibly the point. Well, sorry that we're literally going to just start backtracking back to the place we just backtracked from. But, you know, this is the high quality streaming content that you guys have signed up for, right? Incidentally, Spiper, it would be remiss of me not to mention that we do have a YouTube channel where all of these historic playthroughs are being uploaded to, so certainly check that out. I will pop that command in. And that's where all of the VODs end up as well. But on that YouTube channel we have our Myst playthrough, we've done Abduction as well. When we get round to playing Firmament, that will probably be straight onto YouTube rather than be streamed. And Quern as well, which was great fun that we played that fairly recently. Okay. Boop, 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 boop. Bonk, 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 bonk. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting because there is obviously a very different vibe to the shows that we do which are streamed, because obviously there's a lot more interaction with the audience on the stream, versus my YouTube specific content, which is obviously me just talking through my thoughts as well as just any random other things that kind of come to my mind. And I think it depends on the game which one translates better, you know. I think some games benefit from the audience interaction. I think some games just work better on the focus. Certainly the Monday evening streams, those are definitely far, far closer to just chatting streams that we also happen to be playing a video game in. Okay, back here. Click, 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 click. Click, 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 click. Oh, look at how fast we can go. Take that, 1997. Okay. No, we need to activate that from the Zeotrope. Here we go. Can we see it from here? No. No, I can barely get a glimpse of that. I barely get a glimpse of that. And you really can't see it from there. Can we go over to the dome and see it directly? Oh, it's so blurry. How are you supposed to work out what that is? Hang on, hang on. So if we try and take a screenshot of it, that's what we get. Interesting. Not sure if that's intended strats, but what does that even look like to you? I mean, it looks maybe like an O. It could be orange. It could be orange, because looking at it, it kind of looks like an eye that's closing, right? So, I don't know. We might have to have a think about that one, to be honest. I mean, it is supposed to be in the zeotrope when you get it, right? It's just that it's just not lined up, but. There we go. So that stopped it. But you don't really have an opportunity to see it. Okay, well, we will have to have a think about that one, and we also need to get to the zeotrope on Crater Island, so that is something to consider. However, I'm afraid, my friends, we are out of time for this morning, so I'll give a quick thank you to those of you on YouTube who are watching this in the future. Thank you very much for watching. Consider liking, consider subscribing. This has been episode 6 of Riven. Having a great time. We're going to get this marble puzzle. I can feel it. I can feel it. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. For those of us who are staying on Twitch, thank you.